Hello and welcome to Pilgrim Lutheran Church and Schools Virtual Sunday School. If you watched the children's message today, you played along with the game I Believe It or I Doubt It, in which I would say a headline that maybe sounded real or maybe not real, and you had to decide whether you believed it or if you doubted it. And that's a fun game that you can play at home with your parents or caregivers and maybe come up with some imaginative and fun headlines that you can decide whether you believe or doubt. And so talking about belief and doubt, we will go into our reading for the week from our Rural Kids Story Bible, and the reading is John 20:19-31, and it's the story about Thomas Believes.
Slam went the door. Click went the lock. No one coming in, no one going out. 10 of Jesus' disciples were hiding in a house. One wasn't there, Thomas. The disciples were afraid. Jesus died on a cross. Would they be killed too? Suddenly Jesus appeared in a locked room with them. "Peace be with you," said Jesus. The disciples stared with their mouths dropped open. Could it really be Jesus? Jesus smiled. He showed them their hands, and then he saw the holes from the nails. "Jesus, it's you!" the disciples shouted. Whoosh! Jesus breathed his spirit on them. "Go tell everyone I'm alive. Take the spirit with you." Ten disciples were ready to tell, but one disciple, Thomas, wasn't in that house that day. He didn't see or hear Jesus. When the disciples saw Thomas, they shouted, "Jesus is alive!" "What?" wondered Thomas. I won't believe it until I see Jesus and touch his hands with my finger." 1 week later, all of Jesus' disciples were back in the house, even Thomas. Suddenly, Jesus appeared again. "Peace be with you," he said. "Thomas, touch my hands. Believe." Thomas answered, "My Lord and my God." Jesus blesses everyone who has not seen him, but still believes.
So in that story, it sounds a little bit like what's going on right now. Everybody together in the house and talking about believing that Jesus did rise. And what was it that helped the disciples believe that Jesus had risen? It was his wounds on his hands and his feet. And this sounds very similar to where we are now. And if you're like my house, you are probably getting that question that parents usually get on long drives where they say, "Are we there yet?" And it's a good question of, are we there yet? Can we go outside yet? And the answer is actually, I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that question. So what do we do when we don't have an answer? We rely on the things that we do believe. And so today I have here a toolkit. This is a doctor's toolkit, and they use things like a stethoscope to hear your heart and a thermometer to find your temperature, and all of those things. And we are really grateful right now for all of our doctors who are using their toolkits to help heal the world. And we even are seeing people use their talents in different ways. We've got companies that usually make other items like paper goods or motors or those types of things that are actually making medical supplies, and it's amazing. And so I think that we can draw on our own toolkit. And if you've been attending Sunday school, you'll remember a couple of things like, who remembers the parable of the talents? Right? We all have our talents that we can contribute in different ways, and a lot of people are using their talents in different ways right now. The teachers, pastor, us. And who remembers the story of the persistent widow? So the widow persisted and continued in her quest, and we can do the same thing as we go through this. We can persist and use our talents as we persist. And who remembers the story of the shepherd and the lost sheep? right? Sometimes we are sheep and we are being guided by God into something. And so as we remember all of those lessons and teachings that we have been given over the course of time, we can remember that we can participate in the unknown by believing in what we do know. We know that we've got talents. We know that we can persist, and we know that we are always guided into the best opportunities for us and kept together and guided by Jesus. So think about those things, and maybe even talk as a family about what are your talents that you're using and what are you doing to help you persist, and what are some great things that are maybe happening as a result of this situation that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So thank you for tuning in, and good luck this week on using your toolkit.